up, everybody? It's Emorja, and we're back for season 3 of Black It Indie. And I have a couple of co-hosts that are joining me this year, so I want to make sure that you know who they are, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
So hi, my name is Euda. I was born in Haiti, but I moved to Florida when I was about 9, which is where I lived. South Florida,
Okay,
West Palm.
right. Okay, bet. Fort Lauderdale, so cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to do the West. Anyways, so I lived most of my life in Florida, did undergrad at Florida Atlantic University. I studied economics. And then I worked in New York for a while, and then I joined the Peace Corps. And now I'm in the Global Affairs program here at Notre Dame.
Nice. So, now, was your family part of that or just you?
Family part of what?
The Peace Corps.
No, I just did the Peace Corps on my own.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I lived in Kosovo with a host family in Kosovo.
Gosh.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
bet.
great. Highly recommend the Peace Corps.
Listen, I mean,
I've seen emails now. I see some emails, post-grad plans. We're going to see.
It's really great.
She had a little head now.
I'm Deontay. I go by D if you see me on campus. I'm a senior here studying Africana Studies with a minor in Education, Schooling, and Society. I'm from New Orleans. Who that is the only that. You know, the who that. If you're not with the Saints, then I just don't know you.
Sorry.
And then I lived in Lewis, but I don't anymore. But I'm still a Lewis chick forever.
So she says she's too good for Lewis.
I am.
She's grown up. Wait, so can you make gumbo?
Yes, I can make gumbo.
Are you
I can make.
saying it because the camera roll?
No. Everybody who knows me know I know how to throw down. I'm gonna show you what I made last night.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
I'ma
She's
show you what
last
I
night,
made.
not even.
Yeah.
She was just like, that was a
can't-
Monday night
Oh yeah,
for me.
it was a Monday night, and I got off my flight. It got the rolling. As soon as I got home.
Goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you were in Puerto Rico this weekend. That's what you were referring to.
Yes.
You got home and immediately.
Absolutely.
were on the
I texted my
ones
friend on
and
my
twos
flight.
on
I'm
the
like,
stove.
take the steak out.
Oh, wow.
I need the steak thawed when I get home.
Wow, that's big, like, mom energy.
Very
you know what I
much.
mean? Like,
Very
take the
much.
chicken out the freezer so that I can be.
Every time. If you don't take it out, it's a problem.
It's
my
a problem.
God.
You be running when she get home,
Right,
boy.
right.
My mama done got us plenty of days.
Right.
So since you said that, we're going to actually take one of our Black and Indie episodes to her kitchen. I think that'll be fun.
Yes. Yeah, y'all get to
That's
see
something
how
to
I do. Okay.
Don't come to my kitchen. Okay, I can make toast.
You know what? It's all good. So, Euda, I think you got a lighter topic than what we got. I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, I feel like we will all appreciate my light topic after theirs, but I was just going to talk about the, like, I want to say recognition that Black people give one another, like, especially I feel like when you're in a predominantly white space, like whenever I see another Black person in a place that I don't expect there to be Black people, we just give each other this kind of head nod, or just like I call it the Black people head nod, where it's just like, you get it, like, right?
We see you.
Have you guys experienced that? Or
And, you know, it's interesting because one thing I noticed is that, you know, Black people, we usually do like, yo, what up? And I see like sometimes like a lot of white people, they'll be, the head nod, they go down, we go up.
Yeah, right. Or they, not to do this like stereotype, but they do the like smile,
It's
the
like
weird.
a little
I can't do it. It's not in my genes.
We all have our little isms, and it's so crazy
yeah.
how they develop. But it's just part of the community. We just find our own way to talk to each other.
Right. I was thinking about it like when I was in Kosovo. Again, Kosovo predominantly Caucasian, not a lot of Black people, no Black people there, right? No Black Kosovars, like, right? And so occasionally they would have like football, soccer players, and they would have basketball players come to do like exhibitions or whatever. And so when I would see them out and about, like in my life, it would be like, like, do you know what I mean? And then we both kind of like give each other the nod. And usually they're like not Americans, like they're from like Africa or other places. And so it was just like, let's acknowledge that there's a lot of white people here almost.
Yeah, and we have like even the communal way in which we do it, even across, you know, race barriers, there's still some kind of I guess some common ways in which we would greet each other. Sometimes they're very subtle, sometimes they're very loud, but it's funny what we can do amongst our own people. We have our own dialect, we have our own way that we communicate as far as like physical, so I mean from fist bumps to, you know, yo, what's good, bro?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just cool.
For me, it's that city to city thing, you know, like in New Orleans, people say baby a lot.
Yeah.
You go to New York, you say euro, everybody finna go crazy. It's just that type of thing right there. You're like, we know they're here.
Right, and there's like specific accents with different Black people from different cities, and then they'll recognize each other and be like, "Oh, you from New York?" And
Exactly.
Yeah.
everybody.
I think people always know when someone is from New York. In most cases, because there are some people I've met from New York who don't have such a strong accent, but I believe that you can tell. But they say their vowels. That's one as well too.
Yeah.
I feel like
I love New York
not even
accents.
feel like I know that I can tell when someone is Haitian. I'm Haitian from just walking. Like you don't have
Really?
to talk to me. I just know like that's a like I just and that's I don't know what it is, but I just know that person is from Haiti.
Hey, we know our people. That's point
true.
blank.
It's just that connection right there.
Right?
You
Yeah.
see it from afar, you recognize it, and you
Right.
know it. I feel like I had that experience earlier today. We had Dr. Carter. She's a fellow doctor at Princeton, and she's on the talk here tomorrow, but she was in my Black ethnography class, and I mean, I was pretty engaged throughout all of her work and the readings that I had for her, but I just tried to make her feel as comfortable as possible. She's coming from one white space to another. Why not give her flowers while she's here and just acknowledge her hard presence and hard work? And it was a great class. And my professor emailed me and was like, I appreciate you for your engagement. And I'm like, I'm just doing what I do, you know? I'm just doing what I do.
Right.
This is me. This is who I am. But she was amazing. And I recommend everyone to go see her talk tomorrow in the race resilience little genre of era confessions and discussions. There's so many discussions and stuff on campus. I don't know. I'm like, just go to it.
There's people who ain't never talking all day.
Yes, I'll send you the poster. I don't know who doing it, where it's at, but you'll see it on the flyer.
Send it.
No, that's what's up. So there are a lot of things that are happening in our world. Specifically, so I came across this article recently. There are two guys. Actually, I'm going to read it to you. So there's Philip Bird, who's 14 years old, and there's Connor Pruitt, who's 13, and they will both be placed in some secure juvenile prison for 21 days. And here's why. So according to the reports, the teens were detained on Thursday, September 9th, and held for a mental health assessment after a Harns Marsh Middle School resource officer was informed of a student who had a gun in his bag. Now, no gun was found on either student. However, the officer did reveal that the students discussed a school shooting over lunch. So according to the police, witnesses were questioned and a map of the school surveillance cameras were found. So Sheriff Marcino claimed that the two were planning a school massacre similar to the Columbine in Colorado and Parkland, Florida. Now, just for those who may not know, Columbine occurred on April 20th, 1999. It killed 12 students and 1 teacher. And so Parkland occurred on February 14th, 2018, killed 17 people and injured 17 people. And this was done by Nicholas Cruz. Needless to say, one of the mothers, she stated that he's just a little boy. I don't think that this was serious. He didn't think that they were going to be this serious. But I'm like, I know they're kids, and I'm pretty sure this won't be the last time this kind of thing has happened. But my question for the two of you is this. Whenever you have something that is this strong, knowing the state of our country as it relates to guns and mass shootings, do you think these kids should be charged as adults? What do you do?
Oh my! I seen the tweet, and I seen someone quoted this, and I'm like, and they said charge them as adults, and I knew where they were coming from when they said it, especially because it was a Black person. And so I don't even know. I think that we should take that very, very seriously, especially when we think about the pattern of mass shootings across America. I'm just against the whole prison system in a whole type of way. I don't think that these boys should be going to jail for the rest of their lives, but I do think they need some kind of help.
Well, you gotta have some kind of something.
They need serious help, teaching, training, meditation,
Whatever
a lot.
it is. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I always say I don't believe in the criminal justice system because it's not a justice system. It does not
take the word out.
that's
system.
not the goals. That's literally not. I don't even think the stated goals of the justice system. And so literally, I also don't think that like policing or like putting people in jail is the way that we solve problems because we've been doing it for a while and we still got these problems, right? And I think specifically the American criminal justice system, like the way that it was built out of like slavery and out of racism and out of all these things, like its origins are tainted, right? And so now everything that you put into there is like poisoned fruit, right? But I also kind of like also hold the secondary opinion, right? So another thing that's kind of going around is, I don't know if you guys have heard that I think the Black Lives Matter movement in South Bend is attempting to take armed resource officers or police officers out of schools, right? And like I was invited to come and kind of help them support, and I was like, my first thought was school shootings. My first thought was, you know what I mean? Like if there is a kid with a gun who is aiming to do that, like do we not want like the police officer? But then on the other hand, that's a rarity. I know it seems like it's like, you know, front of mind, but I don't want to say school shootings don't happen that often, but over time, like why would a police officer at a school need a gun, right? Like literally,
and
how many?
What's the balance?
Right?
What is the balance? Because as soon as, not saying this will happen, but as soon as you take them out, that's when something wants to happen. And then we're back to square one. This is why we should have had cops in schools.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, for example, so if they did not get charged as adults, and we don't believe, say, for example, you may not believe in the the justice system. What if you could create some kind of consequence for this? What would you do in a perfect world?
I don't know, right? And that's the thing. I recognize this within myself, in a lot of other movements, that I don't really have an answer, right, for what's the alternative. I just know that the current thing is not good, right? And I don't think that detracts away from my argument that the current thing is not good. But I really, truly do not know where the line is or what the alternative is. But as far as like whether we should have like guns in schools, which is really what a resource officer, police officer with a gun is, or whether or not, or like what we do with the reality that there are criminals, right? So like if we abolish the police, criminals still exist. You know what I mean? Like people still do bad things. I don't have those answers. I'm sorry.
No, it's because one thing too. So in the article, I checked another one to see what the number of mass shootings we had was in 2020 and also 2019. So in 2020, the United States reported that there were 611 mass shooting events that resulted in 513 deaths and 2,543 injuries. In 2019, there were 417 mass shootings with 465 deaths and 1,707 injured. And they say that, of course, the ones in 2020 were largely in part because of pandemic, unemployment, and violent protests with idle youth. So it's like, and of course, also in the article, they talked about like Chicago being, Chirac and all these other places as well too. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not in law enforcement. I don't understand. But I can say that when it comes to this, I don't know. It feels as if somebody has to have some kind of consequence if there's going to be something, but I just don't know what is justice at this point. We've been questioning justice for years, but I think we've been sort of highlighting it since last year because of George Floyd. So I don't know. I don't know.
And that justice totally looks different from everybody. And it's like their parents need to be talked to as well, because at some point you have to question the level of parenting within their household. Like, how are they able to get a gun? Because that would be the first questions that would be asked if they were Black, quickly.
But I will say, so like the Parkland, I'm from Florida, Parkland is pretty close to where I live. And so like his parents had for years tried to do whatever they could, because they were like, there's something wrong like with our child's mental health, right? They tried to like put him in, I think like have him put into a psychological hospital. What's the word? A psych ward?
Yeah, psych ward.
Yeah. They tried all of these things, like, and truly, like, if I was them in their position as his parent, I would have tried all these things as well. And they had exhausted all their options, and he still managed to get a gun, I think legally in Florida, and like do this shooting, despite them doing everything that was in their power to do, right? And so I think there's so many other holes in our system, right? And I mean like the entire system of America, right? And not just like in the mental health system, but also in schools and also in all these things. And we try to fix those holes with like criminalizing and with policing and with the justice system. And then it of course it's gonna fall short. Like it's just,
we can't please everybody. That's going to be the ultimate thing. Well, we can't.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes it always ends up that somebody gets the short end of the stick.
Yeah, and it's just I took a class on punishment and like why we punish, why we put people in jail, and so often I feel like a lot 90% of the time it's to kind of uphold a social hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's kind of upholding the state. Again, the point is not justice.
Yeah.
The point is not to stop school shootings. It's to uphold the hierarchy that places some people at the top and some people at the bottom, and the police officers are there to uphold that hierarchy, right? And when you start thinking of it in that way, you see why we have the results that we have of Black people getting way too much years in jail / prosecuted / right? Because that's the real point.
Yeah. Well,
It's a lot.
It's rough out there. But your topic.
yeah, because you have a topic that
Leads
deals
right
with,
into that,
shooting.
yeah.
So let's go for it.
Unfortunately, there was a shooting that happened off campus at a party, which I'm a little confused about the details because I did get an email from Notre Dame, the police department. It was not very specific. So, and then the other, I read like 3 articles. One article said it was a party leased for Notre Dame students, and then another one said it was a party for Holy Cross students. So I didn't know who leased the house or whatever, but I do know that it was a party, and the man died in their doorway.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that part.
Yes, at almost 4 o'clock in the morning into the Sunday of this weekend. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's a, you can say an article, like whole organization called Real News Michiana. It's a real news for conservative audience. And there's this writer called Clifton French, and he basically wrote an article explaining this man's entire criminal history. Nothing reporting on the day of his death.
I was going to say the man who was murdered.
The man who was murdered. They literally pulled up all his criminal records, mug shots, everything. And not to negate the fact that this man has a criminal history, it just was completely irrelevant to what had happened. And so he gets threats over the course of this weekend. So that happened. He posted the original article probably like Sunday morning. Yeah. And then between then and now, he's received multiple deaths from outside members of the South Bend community. And so the organization then reposts another updated article talking about, they posted all of the threats. And then in the end, they say that Clifton French is a decorated veteran. He is highly trained, and if you try him, he will know how to defend himself. And in the end, it said, we suggest you sit this one out.
Really? Goodness.
I was like,
oh my
God, that's
it feels like a death threat as a response to
that's how I felt. That's how I felt.
Goodness.
And majority of the threats that he received were from Black men. Not only that, but they had their faces on there and everything.
Yeah.
I just thought that that creates a very weird dialogue between the South Bend community and even Notre Dame and Holy Cross as well, because some people feel like they're taking away from this man's death to make it look better on Holy Cross, Notre Dame, and this whole area right here. And I'm like, that's a fair critique to make, because there's just a lot of history within itself with Notre Dame and South Bend, and a lot of mistrust there. So it's just frightening that there are people in the Michiana area who are paying for this subscription and paying to read these comments. The other articles were dragging Notre Dame professors about mask mandates, and it's just disgusting.
Yeah, I saw that with IU as well too recently, how they were talking about, people were, they had some kind of discussion against it, but they're saying, one, it's too late, school already started. And of course, if you choose not to wear a mask, you have to show proof as to why you're not wearing it. And I guess there's some other documentation that you need to provide, but it's like, what are we fighting?
What are we fighting for?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, yo, I don't know.
It's right. I will say with the mask mandates or vaccine mandates, which Biden just passed, that huge thing. So I worked this summer in Maryland and Virginia on vaccination efforts, literally in Virginia, going from church to church or from organization to organization, trying to convince them, working with the health department of Virginia to host vaccine clinics on their site. And the reason we did not go door to door is because people were so Biden had said this plan of, we're going to send people to your house to try to convince you on a one-on-one basis, hyper local outreach, right? And the reason we didn't didn't go door to door is because people were immediately like, if you come to my house, I will shoot you.
Yes,
like
they were
absolutely.
serious.
And the place that we were working in Virginia is South Bend, Virginia, and it's known as the...
Wait, South Bend, Virginia?
No, I'm sorry, South Boston.
Oh,
I make this mistake all the
even-
time because it's SB and
I
it's
got
South,
you.
and I was like, ugh. Yeah, right.
Spit out.
But yeah, it's known as the last seat of the Confederacy, and then right after you pass the sign that says "Welcome to South Boston," there's a sign that's a Confederate flag, and it says "Last seat of the Confederacy" and proud of it.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, and so it just right off the bat tells you this
Dang.
is like some of the people that you're going to be dealing with. And they, again, with all of this, it's like whatever Biden, the Democrats, liberals want, they want the opposite of it, right? And so we're coming in and we're like, yo, I don't know Joe Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like you to get vaccinated for your own sake,
Just like
or
keep
I'd
you
like you
alive,
to,
that's
right?
it.
Like, it's a non-political thing, and it absolutely was a political, like, whenever we went to anyone, it was such a, like, it was either you're super enthusiastic and you're like, thank you so much for going out and telling people to get vaccinated, or they were like, we're going to kill you, stop trying to, you know what I mean, kill people, all this other like politicized stuff.
No.
And I was gonna say about the article, right, that was written like from a right-wing conservative perspective, it is a strategy of, I don't wanna say like the right wing, but they will like build up these local newspapers, or these newspapers that seem like they're local, like they're online, right? Because the local news is like a way that most people like still trust.
Yeah.
Like most people don't really trust CNN or Fox News anymore, but you just watch your local news like without questioning it, right? Because they're just reporting on,
Interesting. I never thought about
right?
that.
And so literally it has been a strategy by the right wing to buy out or to set up these like newspapers that are just reporting on local news, but really it's a right-wing conservative newspaper that is like specifically targeting a specific group of people with a specific like ideology.
Oh, it was dead
right?
on. You're dead on.
Exactly,
Like-
right. And so I want to say this is not a single, like there are newspapers like this all over the U.S. where they are specifically targeting smaller towns. Like this is not the Chicago Tribune. This is
Right.
like your local South Bend, whatever, right? And they will, whatever crime, whatever thing happens, they will then report on it in like a conservative bent, right? And sometimes they're like right up front about it, and other times they're not like up front that this is their ideology. So it's just a sneaky way to kind of sneak conservatism into people's media diets.
Oh, it's nasty.
It's-
The
it's
entire
trash
Real
out
Michiana
here.
news page
Yeah.
is nasty, and I feel sorry for anyone that is reading those articles and taking everything to heart, because all of those articles paint black men as very violent,
Right.
dangerous men.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the implication of going through a victim's, and I want to emphasize that he was the victim's criminal history, is that he deserved to die, right?
Yes, that's
think it's
exactly
a-
what I
it's a
got from the article. It was a
That's the-
justification. He said
right?
we should consider why his violent past may have led to his violent death. And I was like, oh my
It's
goodness.
like, what do you?
I guarantee you somebody will believe that.
Yeah,
Right,
somebody would say he was
right.
justified in dying.
Right, and that like is kind of the same line as like rape culture, right? Of like, what was she wearing? All these other things of like, you deserve to get raped because of the decisions that you've made. This is the same thing of like, you deserve to get shot because of, which is, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is the point of America if what we're doing is trying to justify a person getting murdered? Ugh.
Look at how America was founded. But that's another discussion for our next show.
We'll be here
Yeah.
the whole season.
Yeah, right.
telling
I
you.
bet y'all wish we could go back to Black people had not now. After these super heavy topics, like.
But I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, we were mentioning, I mentioned at the very beginning that we got an email this week about someone on campus who had experienced, a rape or some kind of actions that made it seem as if it was that. But for y'all who are paying attention and listening, please be careful. Whatever app you're on, just be careful. If you have an iPhone, you can share your location with a friend. Share it with someone, especially if you're going to be going out at a certain time of the day, that is nighttime. Be careful because there aren't cameras everywhere, and we just want you to be careful. Yeah. But I want to leave you with a quick Black History moment. So there's someone by the name of David Norman Dinkins. Do y'all know who that is?
No.
Okay, so
Teach
David,
me.
So
all right,
excited
here we
to
go.
learn.
Here we go. So David Norman Dinkins was the first and only Black mayor of New York City. He was the first and only African American to hold this office. He graduated cum laude from Howard University. And for those who don't know what Howard University is, what is Howard University?
A historically black college or university.
All right, thank you. With a bachelor's degree in mathematics. He was a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, A5.
Okay.
Dinkins married Joyce Burroughs on August 1953, and they had 2 children. She died on October 11, 2020, at the age of 89, 1 month before David passed away.
Oh.
And you know, I've always heard these stories how when people are married for so long, the other person, this other spouse, you know, can't live much longer.
Without the,
I guess they say they died from a broken heart.
Yeah.
I don't know. But y'all got anything else y'all want to say before we get on up out of here?
No, in terms of campus, please stay safe out there. Stay aware. If you need help, ask for help. What you don't do or do is your choice. Just make sure that you're safe out there. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, listen, y'all, thanks so much for checking this out. Make sure to share, subscribe, and like, and we will see you on campus sometime. You have a good one.